What's going on, everybody? You can actually see us now. We are the Desai guys. I am one of your co-hosts, Amar Desai, joined as always by my good friend, my good buddy, the other half of the Desai guys, Mr. Tad Desai. And Tad, we are finally joining the video medium. We're letting people see our faces now. This is a whole new look. Try not to touch your hair too much. I know you're doing that before, but this should be
I have to look good for the camera. You can't tell me not to do that.
That's fair, but at some point it becomes a little bit too much though. So we're trying to mix things up here. I think you might have seen a tweet on our Twitter handle earlier at the Desai guys, excuse me. We're sort of mixing things up here. We didn't have an episode last week. It's because we're sort of making a shift as far as the content that we're going to be delivering. So we're going to be delivering to you fantasy football content. So with the season sort of starting here, we want to make sure that we're supporting LAFB Network, giving them some good content fantasy football wise. We're going to be dropping some sports betting content as well, daily fantasy sports, FanDuels, DraftKings, that sort of stuff. So it should be a good shift for us. I think we're going to have a ton of fun with it, Tad. I'm super excited. How do you feel?
I'm super excited as well. We get of course, the great alliteration of Desai Guys Football Forum Fantasy Football. We get all those F words thrown in there, the F words we can say. So that's great. So I am super excited to get started. And guys, like we said, we are going to be trying a lot of new things this season. So be sure to look at that new ticker we got right below there. You can hit us up on Twitter. Let us know what works, what doesn't work. We can't wait to hear your guys' thoughts. And you know what? Despite me having to eat 12 goddamn pancakes last summer, I still love fantasy football. So the fact that we get to talk about it for a living now, I could not be more excited.
Exactly. Yeah, we're getting a little fancy. You can see that ticker at the bottom with all of our various Twitter handles. So make sure you're following us. Exactly. Make sure you're following us. Interact with us. We want to hear your thoughts with all the changes that are coming up as we sort of make this shift into fantasy football content, sports betting content, different content that we're delivering to you instead of just general football content. So yeah, we want to get into it. We're recording during Monday Night Football here, and the big thing that we sort of need to discuss is the waiver wire. As we head into week 3, you want to make sure that you're making some good additions to your roster so you compete. Obviously, there were some injuries that happened over the weekend that you want to be accounting for. So we're going to go through all the key positions. We're each going to have an option for them. Tad, let's kick it off with the quarterback position. I'm going to pass it to you here first. Who do you think is a good quarterback to attack on the waiver wire that can help your roster?
Look, no one is more shocked than I am to say this, but if you guys need a quarterback, you should be looking at Derek Carr of the Las Vegas Raiders. We crapped all over this offense the entire offseason because of what they did to that offensive line. But in a weird way, it's playing the Carr's advantage. You look at what Josh Jacobs did in week 1. I know he scored those 2 touchdowns. He had 16 points, but he only had 34 yards. So much like last season, he's largely touchdown dependent. He didn't play week 2. Kenyon Drake stepped up against the Pittsburgh Steelers, but not in a big way. He only had 8 points, which means the Raiders are going to be passing it a lot. You look at the last 2 games against the Steelers and the Ravens. Those are 2 good defenses, and Carr still put up at least 350 yards and 2 touchdowns against both those teams. And you look at his pass attempts. He has not thrown for less than 37 pass attempts. So his volume is huge. I still think that run game is going to be very shaky, so I expect that volume to keep going. Henry Ruggs, Bryan Edwards, and of course, Darren Waller, one of the best recent success stories of football. All great weapons for Derek Carr to keep taking advantage of. So you look at his ownership, he's owned in just under 17% of leagues on ESPN. He's owned in about 27% of leagues in Yahoo. So he is out there for most, if not all of you guys listening to this. So if you need a quarterback, I have Ryan Tannehill and I have Joe Burrow. So I'm not feeling great about my quarterbacks right now. I'm looking at Derek Carr heavily as a good week 3 waiver wire target. What about you? Who do you have for quarterback, Amar?
Yeah, that's not a bad addition. I definitely like Derek Carr. He feels very comfortable in that offense now, so I think he could be a really good addition. But mine is a quarterback that's actually owned in least percentage of leagues in ESPN and Yahoo. Only 5.8% in ESPN leagues and 15% in Yahoo leagues. And that is Sam Darnold of the Carolina Panthers. If you look at him going from week 1 to week 2, you can see that he's getting a little bit more comfortable in that offense. He's looking looking to pass it more, air it out. You can see that he's understanding this offense a little bit better. And here's an interesting stat to know of. He is currently top 10 in both attempts and completions, and he is 11th in total passing yards. So, I mean, he is totally comfortable in this offense. I think he's just going to get more comfortable. And here's the big kicker. For week 3, he's playing on a short week against Houston. I think he could easily air it out against Houston, rack up some serious points for you. So if you're in a league where you're streaming quarterbacks because you attack the running back and the wide receiver position more heavily, and you're streaming your quarterbacks because you took one a little bit late, like you took a Ryan Tannehill, possibly you took a Jalen Hurts later, one of those options later, grab Sam Darnold and stream him this week because I think he could put up major points for you and could be one of the top scoring quarterbacks this week as we head into week 3. Let's jump into the running backs, Tad. I want to kick it to you here first. Who's a running back? I know it's a very premium position. There may not be a lot of great ones out there, but with some injuries, there could be some potential diamonds in the rough in that waiver wire. So who do you like at the running back position?
Amar, I'm going to do the thing. You ready? I'm going to do it. I got to do it.
Please don't. Please don't.
I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. Guys, it's time to trust a Patriots running back.
Oh.
I got to do it. I'm going to do it. I'm throwing my hat in this ring. James White. This dude will not go away. He is owned in 55% of ESPN leagues, 42% of Yahoo leagues. So it's about 50-50 chance if you can land him. But if you can, I'm telling you, go for it, especially if you are PPR. You know what? I'm going to backtrack that a little bit. Exclusively if you're PPR. If you're not PPR, back off James White. Here's why. He has not done much on the ground. Through 2 weeks, he's only had 32 yards rushing. But you're not looking at James White as a rusher, right? You look at him as a receiving running back, and he has excelled there. Both week 1 and week 2, he has had around 6 catches for almost 50 yards in each game. He's essentially Mac Jones's safety blanket. So look, his ceiling's low. He's not going to consistently get above 10 points for you, but he is going to consistently get in that 8 to 10 range for you. So it's a low ceiling, but you know where that floor is. So he is a viable flex option, especially if you were going hard on a Myles Gaskin type guy who's kind of been disappointing lately. So if you're thinking, I need a running back to put in my flex I can pretty much depend on every week, James White's your guy solely because of the amount of targets and receptions he's getting on a weekly basis.
Exactly. With a rookie quarterback like Mac Jones, he's probably going to be looking to go for the check down as well. So yeah, James White is a guy that would be a good addition to your bench, possibly a flex position, depending on the start that you want to put him in. I'm going to go with Cordarrelle Patterson, the running back / wide receiver. Depending on the league that you're playing in, he could have value at both positions because, he has the versatility there. He's only rostered in 8% of ESPN leagues and 40% of Yahoo leagues. So he is out there, and he is second on the team in total touches. He's only behind Mike Davis. And now, for all of you Mike Davis owners out there, I am one of them as well. He's still the RB1. Like, there's no question about that. He's still getting the majority of the touches in this offense, majority of the touches as a running back as well. But here's the thing that's interesting to see. With the touches that Cordarrelle Patterson is getting, he is making more out of them. He is averaging 6.5 yards per touch compared to Davis averaging 4 yards per touch. So, I mean, against these tougher opponents, I know Atlanta and Arthur Smith, they kind of want to throw out whatever they can against the opposing defense and see what sort of works. And it seems like Cordarrelle Patterson is working compared to Mike Davis. Mike Davis is just not being as effective. It's more of a volume play with Mike Davis, whereas Cordarrelle Patterson, with the efficiency of the quality of touches, he's a little bit more effective. And so, yes, also you have to look at the fact that Kyle Pitts has yet to emerge. Their offensive line play is absolutely terrible, so they can't get the ball.
It's egregious. It's
exactly. They can't. So they can't get the ball down deep to Calvin Ridley, Russell Gage, Olamide Zaccheaus, whoever you want to list out there.
Say that name again.
Olamide Zaccheaus.
Wow, good for you. I'm not trying that. I will let you people know. I don't care if he's the highest scoring fantasy player of all time. I'm not trying that.
So yeah, Cordarrelle Patterson is a short check down, also using him out of the backfield. I think he can get a lot of versatility, really strong flex play. Definitely add him to your bench because, yeah, as mentioned, 8% in ESPN leagues, 14% in Yahoo leagues. Go pick him up. I think he could be valuable, at least for sure in the short term. Maybe long term, Mike Davis will emerge again and become the key back, and Cordarrelle Patterson will fall by the wayside. But for right now, really good addition. Okay, let's jump to the receivers as we talk about Cordarrelle Patterson being a running back receiver. Tad, who do you like as receivers? It's a very deep position, so I'm pretty sure there's some good options out there on the waiver wire. Who do you like?
I was so torn. I'm not going to name names because, like we said, our friends are listening to this.
Keep it a little bit on the DL. We don't have to list out everybody.
There are two certain NFC North receivers that I'm interested in.
Wow, I'm surprised you even list out divisions. That's ballsy of you, my friend.
It's a risky game. I'm probably going to regret it. I already lost Gronkowski because I played my hand a little too early last week, but we'll see how this goes. I'm going with an NFC West receiver, and this is even more surprising because he's a rookie. The rookie out of Purdue, Dell Moore in Arizona. First off, Arizona's offense. I had some question marks surrounding them. Largely, I know it's just 2 weeks in, but largely those question marks are gone. This offense looks legit. So let's get into Dell Moore's stats a little bit. First off, he's owned in 19% of ESPN leagues and 34% of Yahoo leagues. So he is still widely available in both formats. Going into his week 1, he had 5 targets. He got 4 of them for 8.8 points in half PPR formats, which I think is the standard. So look, solid week 1. He followed up with an amazing week 2. Team high, 8 targets. And you guys will quickly learn when it comes to receivers, I value targets more than any other stat because the more chances you get to put up points, just logically, the more points you're going to go. So 8 targets, team high, more than DeAndre Hopkins, more than Max Williams, more than AJ Green. He utilized those targets, put up over 100 yards, and scored a touchdown on a 70-yard touchdown. So I am telling you, Dell Moore is very quickly carving out a nice niche for himself in this offense. And if he can keep proving himself, and if this offense can keep performing at the level they are, and I have yet to see a reason they can't, Dell Moore could be a very valuable early season pickup that will pay off come the playoffs.
And we've talked about this before with Arizona's offense. They seem to be one note with going to DeAndre Hopkins the whole time. Now we're finally seeing Kyler Murray and Cliff Kingsbury spread out the ball. You're seeing Christian Kirk get involved. You're seeing Dell Moore get involved. AJ Green, like you mentioned, finally scored a touchdown. Obviously, you got DeAndre Hopkins still, but it's like lots of the key pieces besides DeAndre Hopkins are getting involved. We'll have to see if this sustains. But for right now, I think that's a very good addition. Dell Moore, Christian Kirk, there's a lot of great options over there as far as Arizona receivers.
And it's important to note that Cliff Kingsbury offense so far through the first 2 weeks are running more 4 receiver sets than any offense in the NFL, percentage-wise. So that means that, like you said, Christian Kirk, AJ Green, Dell Moore, obviously DeAndre Hopkins, these guys are getting a lot of opportunities and probably will continue to do so. So I picked a rookie. Who do you got a receiver?
So I actually have a guy who's currently on IR, and that's Curtis Samuel of the Washington football team. Surprisingly, he is still rostered in a good amount of leagues. 62.5% of ESPN leagues he is rostered, and Yahoo is 35%. So it's actually a little bit more available in Yahoo leagues, surprisingly. So this is more of a long-term move because Curtis Samuel's still going to be hurt for this week. Possibly they may ease him into the lineup in week 4, but maybe week 5 is when we actually start to see him as a more regular basis. Now, think about this. Washington just lost Ryan Fitzpatrick to an injury. Who knows when he's going to come back? They have Tyler Heineke. Tyler Heineke is not a deep ball thrower, whereas Ryan Fitzpatrick was willing to be a little bit aggressive, take those deep shots. So there's a reason that Washington currently has the top 10 in completion percentage is because they also have the 13th lowest average yards per passing attempt. So they're not going deep with the ball. It's these short, quick passes. Let the receiver do more of the work. Yeah, every so often you may see a deep throw to Terry McLaurin or something like that, but for the most part, it's these short dink and dunk passes, go through the running game as well. And this is where Curtis Samuel can thrive because you have to think about the fact that he was a very versatile player coming out of Ohio State. A running back, receiver. They were using him as a versatile weapon in that offense. I think he could do the very same thing here with Washington football team. Opposite Terry McLaurin, obviously, who's going to take majority of the attention, but adding a guy like Curtis Samuel, I think could be a really good addition. Take those short passes, get the yak, yak it up. Let's go. Washington football team is going to be fun to watch.
He doesn't love Curtis yak.
Exactly. Yakety yak, So Curtis Samuel added into this roster, I think would be a really good addition. And I think if he's available in your league, you should add him. If you have an IR spot, definitely add him. You can just put him on your IR spot when he's healthy and ready to go. Put him into your lineup. I think he's going to be a very worthy addition to your roster. So let's jump into a position that has slowly started to get a little deeper. I don't know how good the waiver wire is for this position, but we did both come up with some options here. Let's look at the tight end position. So, Tad, who do you like at the tight end position for week 3 and beyond?
I will say again, I gave my hand a little too early to other members of my league last week because I had Mike Gesicki, who I thought was a great sleeper. little iffy on him. He's completely off my roster now. I showed my hand too early, so Rob Gronkowski's gone. So I've been, scavenging the waiver wire for a good tight end. It's shallow out there. It's really hard to find dependable tight end on the waiver wire. But this guy, solely for the reason he has no competition on his roster. It's Dalton Knox, the tight end in Buffalo. He's put up 6 points in week 1, I believe 7 or 8 points, depending on your format, in week 2. So, look, is he going to, blow you with his stats? Absolutely not, but he's dependable. And that's what you really need to have a tight end. If the rest of your roster is good and you find just a dependable tight end, you're pretty set. And so, like I said, Dawson Knox plays almost every single snap as tight end with the Buffalo Bills. I know he has a lot of competition with Gabriel Davis, Stephon Diggs, Emmanuel Sanders, and also some of those short yardage touchdowns are kind of vultured by his own quarterback, Josh Allen, because he can just run it himself. But he's still the only tight end in. See, look, this is the benefit of doing a live podcast right here. You finally get to see Cap make his first appearance on the podcast. It's great.
Cap makes a cameo. I love it.
He has to do it. He has to make at least one appearance. But going back to Dawson Knox, he is just the epitome of the dependable tight end. So if you're really hurting for a tight end, that's just going to get you that 5 points every week. You can do worse than Dawson Knox. So you look at his ownership numbers, 3% owned in ESPN, 6% owned on Yahoo. He's a dependable tight end you can get fairly easily. So Dawson Knox is my guy, but like I said, it's rough out there if you're looking for a tight end.
Yeah, it's kind of rough out there, but I got an option here that's actually very interesting. So, Tad, if I were to ask you who are the tight ends with the most targets through 2 weeks of the NFL season, who would you guess? You got your Darren Waller, you got your Travis Kelce, throw out some other names out there. Who else do you think is top 5 in targets right now?
I'm going to go, maybe a hot take here. I'm going to go Jonnu Smith. He's been doing well in New England so far.
Jonnu Smith, okay, that's not a bad option, but would you be surprised if I told you Jared Cook is tied for 5th with Rob Gronkowski as far as targets at the tight end position?
Just had to bring up Gronk, didn't you?
Of course I had to bring up Robert Gronkowski. So, yeah, not only is Jared Cook tied for 5th as far as targets at the tight end position, he is also tied for 4th for red zone targets. So Justin Herbert's not only looking to him to move the ball down the field, but also once they get into the crucial red zone and you need to convert and score a touchdown, he's going towards Jared Cook as well. So a lot of people were wondering, with the loss of Hunter Henry going to New England, what the Chargers are going to do at the tight end position. They signed Jared Cook, and everybody's like, yeah, I don't know how that's going to work out. Then they also had Steven Anderson and a few other guys that's just like, okay, we'll see how this all plays out. But Jared Cook has established himself again. That's like he could be a dependable weapon in this offense for Justin Herbert. And I think, you look at this offense, you got Keenan Allen, you got Mike Williams. He is the 3rd most targeted receiver in this passing offense. So, yeah, Jared Cook could be a good option for you. A lot of people are already on this bandwagon. He's the most added tight end in both Yahoo and ESPN leagues right now. That is a transaction trend right now. So jump on that if you still want him. He is currently rostered in 51.7% of ESPN leagues and 43% of Yahoo leagues, but definitely that's going to shoot up after this week because he is getting more and more involved in that offense. So, Tad, we definitely want to give some love to the kickers and the defense. We're not going to spend a ton of time on them, but just who are some options that you like at the kicker position as well as the defense position?
I mean, I already sang their praises. If the Raiders offense is doing well, that means their kicker is doing well. Daniel Carlson, he is only rostered in 17% of the leagues in ESPN, 32% of the leagues in Yahoo. Look, he scored in double digits in both games so far. And here's the key with, finding a good kicker in fantasy. You got to find a guy that will kick some field goals. For example, right now I have Ryan Suckup. It's great because the Buccaneers are scoring a ton. The problem is they're not scoring any field goals. It's just point after. So he's only going 6 or 7 points. It's hugely frustrating. So the Raiders offense is good enough where he's kicking some field goals on top of all those extra points. So I think Daniel Carlson is your perfect little in-betweener kicker there. Look, this defense, I'm only saying for streaming purposes. Only do it if you need a defense for this week. The Titans defense. I know people are going to go after what just happened to the Cardinals. The Seahawks just beat them up. What are you talking about? Look, as a Colts fan, I can tell you it has been a miserable 24 hours for me, okay? First off, we got our asses handed to us by Los Angeles. Shout out LAFB Network. God, I hate the Rams. So that happened. Second off, our quarterback did not sprain just one ankle, but 2 ankles. So Carson Wentz, if he plays this Sunday, I will be shocked. So if he doesn't, that means Jacob Eason stepping in. Jacob Eason against a Titans defense that still has talent on that roster. I have no faith in him. So if you're looking for a defense, if you have a defense you thought would be performing a little better, maybe the Dolphins. I know their defense has been kind of inconsistent so far this season. If you need a defense this week, and the spoiler alert, Amar's defense that he's about to name was my pick, but he actually has Wi-Fi while he's at work, so he got it in first. So thank you for that. So if the defense that Amar's about to name, if they're gone and you're a little lower on the waiver order, this is the defense to go for, is the Tennessee Titans, because I promise you they are going to murder my Colts this upcoming weekend.
So I'm going to start at the kicker position. It's actually the same reasonings that you're listing out for why you're picking the Titans defense. Is I'm picking Rodrigo Blankenship, the kicker for the Indianapolis Colts. Exactly. He was the 6th highest scoring kicker in fantasy last year. So, I mean, this guy can put up points, and that was as a rookie. And so, yes, with the news of Carson Wentz spraining both ankles, there's just, not sure what's going to happen. I don't know if they're going to be able to score touchdowns consistently. They may be able to move the ball down the field, but they may have to settle for field goals. That's where Blankenship is the guy that you want to grab. He's only owned in 20.3% of leagues in ESPN and 50% in Yahoo. So go grab him if you can. He's a really good addition. And then my defense that Tad was teasing earlier, the Carolina Panthers. I already talked about this with Sam Darnold. I think they're just going to run roughshod through the Houston Texans.
Tyrod Taylor's out, by the way. It was announced
exactly. Davis Mills is probably going to be starting there. Obviously, I mean, based on your scoring for the defensive position in your leagues, they're easily the top 3 defense in fantasy right now. I mean, they're allowing the fewest points in the league, the second fewest total yards in the league. They're currently the most sacks in the league. They have the second highest pressure percentage in the league. I mean, this young defense is in its second year in this defensive scheme. They're totally getting after it. They're going to put some pressure on the quarterback. The running game is not going to be effective. I wouldn't be surprised if there's a shutout. The Carolina Panthers have a really smoking defense right now. Go pick them up if you can. So, yeah, Tad, this is our first fantasy episode. We went through the waiver wires. I mean, I think it went pretty well. What do you think?
I think that went fantastic. I'm just excited you guys finally got to see what Cap looks like. He interrupted our podcast enough. It's about time you guys get to get a visual on him.
Exactly. There may be some more cattail mustaches on Tad coming up in the future for sure. But yeah, let us know what you think. As we mentioned, there's that Twitter scroll ticker that is scrolling. That's what I was trying to say. You can find my handle, I'm Desai23. You got Tad's at Tad Desai94. You got the show handle, D Desai guys. Let us know what you think. We're going to be popping up some other segments throughout the week. Like we said, sports betting. There's some DFS stuff. There's some other fancy topics we're going to get into. Lots of fun stuff. So make sure you interact with us on the Twitter handles. Follow LAFB Network as well. We're going to be on their YouTube channel as well. Lots of great content is coming this week. Tad, I'm super excited.
I'm super excited too. And just to clarify some stuff for you guys, the podcast is not done. This will still be a podcast. It will be fantasy football and sports betting focused, but the podcast is still going on. But videos just like this, we are dropping multiple videos a week. So be sure to check us out. It's an extra shout out. We always love extra shout outs. So be sure to check us out on the LAFB Network YouTube channel for those videos dropping during the week as well. But also, be sure to keep checking out Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and wherever else you find your podcast, because our podcast is not done. We're still doing it. So I need a break. I can't be on camera all the time. So we're definitely going to be still doing the podcast. This week will be our first fantasy football focused one. So be sure to keep an eye out for that as well.